Okay, so, hey fam, I decided to make a video about this movie that I watched, right? And I was saying to myself, yeah, I gotta know more about the Anunnaki, and I gotta understand where I come from, and blah, blah, blah. So I was sitting outside eating, and I just finished watching the movie, and I was like, let me watch another movie, So this random movie popped up. And I was like, what is this? Because it said Watchers, Revelation. And I was like, ooh, let me watch this. So I click on this movie, B-side sci-fi movie on YouTube. I'm like, ooh, let me watch it. So within the first 5 minutes, it seems, the dude was like, Watchers, Igigi, Anunnaki. And I was like, what? What he just say? I'm like, what kind of movie is this? Bad acting. But you could tell, they was trying. I'm not going to get off. But I was like, he just said 3 things. So I paused it for a second. I'm looking around. I'm always looking around like, who knows that I want to, I'm trying to learn this, right? So I'm watching the movie. So then, it's very interesting. And it's really telling the whole story. So then I come in the house and I'm doing my hair in the bathroom and I'm watching it. Again, I restarted it, watching it, picked it back up. And the guy starts talking about some stuff that's in the Bible, right? And I'm like, that's not in the Bible. Hold up. Let me go check. Because, just in case, this is a movie, probably lying. But let me just check. So I checked and I was like, wait a minute, what? So let me show you the part that I saw that had me tripping. Hold on. Okay. Is that clear? Hold on. Yeah, that's the name of the movie, The Watchers, Revelation 2013. This tripped me out. Really tripped me out. Okay, hold on. The setup is the guy has this dream, these 3 dreams, and so he's concerned about it, so he's going to talk to his grandfather about it. So he's telling his granddad the dream, and then his granddad is telling him, I guess, kind of the meaning of it.
So, tell me about your dreams.
We were here at the lake. You were pointing out constellations like when I was a kid.
Sounds normal. We did that several times.
But in my dream, you were very specific. You pointed to a tiny cluster of 7 stars and called them the 7 sisters.
Pleiades. It looks like 7 stars with the naked eye, but really there are hundreds of stars in that cluster.
Yes, I know. That's exactly what you said in my dream. You then pointed to the Big Dipper.
Ursa Major.
Yes, but then you pointed to a really bright star following the handle of the Big Dipper.
Arcturus?
Yes, that's the one. You also mentioned Orion.
Taurus, Orion, Pleiades, and the Big Dipper. Anything else?
Well, that's when the second dream started. You and I were playing Scrabble.
Scrabble?
Yeah, I can still see the board. Orion was there, as were the words stars, 7, sang, sisters, mornings, run, and job.
Not Job, but Job.
What?
All those words are grouped in the book of Job. Well, except for run.
You're kidding me.
Oh, really? Look here. In chapter 38, verses 31 and 32.
Can you bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Can you bring forth Mazzaroth in his season? Mazzaroth?
Constellations. It's a Hebrew term for zodiac.
Or can you guide Arcturus with his sons?
Pleiades, 7 sisters. Pleiades is the 7 sisters. And Orion was mentioned, as was Arcturus, which some translate as large bear.
The large bear. The Big Dipper?
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm like, that's not in the Bible. The Bible doesn't talk about Pleiades and Orion. I don't know what Bible they reading. Let me go check. So, check this out. So this got me tripping hard, because I've been reading the Bible for a long ass time, my whole life. And as a Jehovah's Witness, that's all we did was read the Bible, because it was like everything we say is backed up in the scriptures, so let's read it, let's look it up. So I go to the Bible. Matter of fact, I get out like a bunch of Bibles, because I'm like, I got to know if this is true. So the first thing I did was, let me see, which one did I go to first? The first one I went to was a King James Version Bible, right? So I'm like, let me check it out. So I go to Job. Where's my pointer? I'll use this incense. So I go to Job chapter 38, and I go to verse 31. Where I get 11 from? I got on my glasses. Anyway, so it says, can you bind the cluster of the Pleiades or loose the belt of Orion? I'm like, what the hell? Really? Can you bring out Mazzaroth in his season, or can you guide the great bear with his cubs? So I'm like, hell no. When did that get in the Bible? Because I've been like interested in Orion and Pleiades all my life, and nobody taught me about it. My parents sure didn't teach me about that. And I've been a stargazer for a long time. Back in the day, me and my son would be outside looking at the stars. It'd be 23 degrees, because it's the best time to look at the stars when it's cold. And I always had a party when Orion would leave and when Orion would come, right? So, yeah, I know about Orion and Pleiades, right? So I'm like, okay, well, let me check another Bible, because I don't remember reading this. Okay, so I get another Bible. I got to put my Zoom ins on. So I get another Bible, right? This time I get, let's see, working on my tarot card deck. So this time I get a new international version of the Bible. So I get that. And I go to the same thing, Job chapter 38. And I go to verse 31. And it says, can you bind the beautiful Pleiades? Can you loose the cords of Orion? Can you bring forth the constellations in their seasons, or lead out the bear with his cubs? Do you know the laws of heaven? Blah, blah, blah. So this one says the bear with his cubs. The King James said the same. The bear with his cubs. It said Mazzaroth. This one didn't say Mazzaroth, but it said constellation. Same difference. The point is, it's in two Bibles. Pleiades and Orion. I'm like, So I go and get the Bible that I used to read from when I was a Jehovah's Witness. Because I think, when did we start going to the Kingdom Hall? When I was like, let me see. 7? Let me see. Golly. Maybe when I was 10, a little bit before. Mind you. So from when I was 10 years old, I didn't read the King James Bible no more, but the New World's Translation of the Holy Scriptures, right? From the Jehovah's Witness. So I went and got that Bible. Mind you, they have changed it like 50 million times. So I go and get that Bible. I'm so mad right now. Look, check this out. So I get that Bible, the New World's Translation of the Holy Scriptures, right? So I'm reading in that. Same thing. Job. Get focused. Job 38, verse 31. And it says, can you tie fast the bonds of the Kima constellation, or can you loosen the very cords of the Kisel constellation? Can you bring forth the Mazzaroth constellation in its appointed time? And as for the Ash constellation alongside its sons, can you conduct them? Okay, so now, I remember when I first read that scripture at the Kingdom Hall, and I was like, ooh, constellations. The Bible talks about constellations. So it was like, ooh, God know about God in the constellations. Like, whoa, this is amazing because I love constellations. But I remember saying, and I said this to my mother, but what the heck is a Kima constellation? And what the hell is a Kisa? I didn't say hell. But anyway, I was like, what is Kima? And what is Kisel constellation? And what is Ash constellation? I don't know what those are. And I remember my mother saying, well, those are like the real names of the constellations because the constellations are named after all the false gods. And so when the new system comes after Armageddon, we'll get to know what all the real names of the stars are and the real names of the constellations. And I'm like, yay, oh my God, I can't wait. Right? And so in the Watchtower, they have all these different articles a lot of times about, the stars and the sun and all these facts, how many miles away this is and that is. So I was always interested in that, and everybody knew it. So when I read that scripture, that's why I was like, ooh, I can't wait. I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to the new system to find out what the real names of the stars are, right? The point is, I digressed. The point is, I read in this Bible, that same scripture, that the King James Version and the New International Version just said Pleiades and Orion. And this Bible didn't say that. So I'm sitting here the other day like, what? I don't get it. So then I get the next newest version of the New World's Translation, Jehovah's Witness Bible, mind you. And check this out. Okay, hold on. Check this out. And when you change the Bible, you're not supposed to be having a bunch of different versions of the Bible. You're not supposed to be doing that. Everybody know that. So here we go. Check it. So then I get this one. The New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. Right? This one says with references. Right? Right? And this wasn't out at the same time this version was. Right? So what they tell you. So then, I'm looking at that one. So where's my little pointer? Okay, so anyway. So I go to this one. Job, chapter 38. Right? And go over here to verse 31. And it says, can you tie fast the bonds of the Kima constellation, or can you loosen the very cords of the Kisel constellation? Can you bring forth the Mazzaroth constellation and its appointed time, and as for the Ash constellation, alongside its sons, can you conduct them? Say the same thing, right? But then when you look down here at the footnote, Job 38:31 says, see 9. Job 9, chapter 9, footnote, which says Kima constellation, and it says Kisel constellation, which is the same thing it says up here. And then it says the Mazzaroth constellation, same thing up here, right? Then it says Mazzaroth, where in the Greek where it's translated constellation of the zodiac. And then wagon constellation, light bearer, and then it says ash constellation. So basically, in this book, in this version of the Bible, it's saying Kima, Kisel, Mazzaroth, and Ash. But it's saying the same damn thing in the footnote, telling you to see another scripture that says Kima, Kisel, Mazzaroth, And the only difference it tells you here is that Mazzaroth can be translated zodiac, and wagon constellation, and light bearer. And it still says ash, the same thing. So this second version of the Bible, well, ain't the second, but this next version of their Bible says the same thing as the previous one. Then in the footnote, it says the same things. So why would you put in the footnote the same things it says at the top? And then it refers you to like another scripture. So like if you're like the average person, you're not going to go and see that other scripture, because what it says down here is that the other scripture says the same thing. Kiso, Kima, Mazzaroth, and Ash, right? Right. So if you've been raised as a Jehovah's Witness and raised on this Bible, then all you know is Kiso and Kima, Mazzaroth, and Ash. And they're saying, well, that's the Greek stuff and that's the real stuff, so yeah. So first Bible says that, second Bible, right. Okay, so now their newest version, latest version, I'm trying not to get mad. I stays mad at them. So the latest version, check it. Check this out. This is like ridiculous, just even doing this. So the latest version, the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures, right? You go to this one, and you go to Job, chapter 38 and 31. Says the same thing, right? Can you tie the ropes of the Kima constellation or untie the cords of the Kiso constellation? Can you lead out a constellation in its season? It don't say Mazzaroth this time, but it says constellation, which is what Mazzaroth is supposed to mean. Constellation, zodiac, whatever. It says, or guide the Ash constellation along with its sons. So in this one, it says the same exact thing, except for instead of Mazzaroth, it says constellation. So this Bible, this newest one, it automatically has the footnotes and references as well. But this is totally different. Look at what the footnotes say. So for the footnote for 3831, where it talks about, let me scroll up here, where it talks about Kima, right there, it says possibly the Pleiades stars in the Taurus constellation. What? And then where it talks about Kiso, up here, it says possibly the Orion constellation. Then right here where it says constellations, where it normally said Mazzaroth, right here it says Mazzaroth. So it reversed it. Instead of saying Mazzaroth up here, it says it down here. And it says as related, the related term in plural form refers to the constellation of the zodiac. So then up here where it says the Ash constellation along with its sons, down here in the footnote, it says possibly the Great Bear constellation, Ursa Major. In this latest Bible, it's saying, yeah, up here we said Kiso and Kima, Mazzaroth, and Ash. And in the footnote, it's like, yeah, we're talking about Pleiades and Orion and the Zodiac and Ursa Major. So I'm like, hold up. So it took 1, 2, 3 versions of the New World Translation, Jehovah's Witness Bible, to tell you that the first King James Version Bible from 1611 said Pleiades and Orion. But their version of the Bible said Kima and Kiesel and said, well, that's Greek, so that's right. So if you're going to try to use Greek and say that's right, you need to use it across the board in the whole Bible. You can't like use Greek on something, not use Greek on something. Use Greek on something, not use Greek on something. So I was like, hold up. So you're trying to tell me that they're basically going back and saying, well, the King James Version ain't right. We got to make our own. And on our own, we going to say Kima and Kiesel. Then another version later and another 3 versions later. Well, you know what? It is possibly Pleiades and Orion. So I was like, well, hold the hell up. So I wonder if it says it in the Geneva Bible, because the Geneva Bible is even before the King James. What is that, like 1560, 1590 or whatever, before 1611? So I had to get on like the Bible Gateway and look at it. So let me find it right quick. Which is still before 1611, Job 38:31, right? So this says, canst thou restrain the sweet influences of the Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in their time? Canst thou also guide Arcturus with his sons? Okay, so you see that. In Geneva Bible, 1599, it says Pleiades, Orion, Mazzaroth, Arcturus, right? Then you got King James 1611 saying Pleiades, Orion, Mazzaroth, and the bear and his cubs, right? Then you got, let me look at the date in this Jehovah's Witness Bible, New World Translation. Oh, hell. Okay, so then you got the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures, and this one is revised 1984. So then you got 1984 New World Translation saying Kima, Kiesel, Mazzaroth, and Ash. Then you got the reference Bible of that came out that says Kima, Kiesel, Constellation, and Ash, with a footnote saying, go look at another scripture about Kima, Kiesel, Mazzaroth, constellations, Zodiac, and Ash. Then you get their latest one, which is, let me look at the date on that. What's the date on this one? Oh, hell, this is wild. So this one, wow. So the one I read to from just now, the reference one said 1984, and they said it was a revision. So I guess it was a revision from 81, and then the previous one was 1961. So the 2013 one is the one that says Kima, Kiesel, Constellation, Ash, and at the footnote, Pleiades, Orion, Mazzaroth, which is the Zodiac, constellation and the Zodiac. And then it says Ash, which is the bear and his cubs, Ursa Major. What? I'm like, something ain't right. So you trying to tell me that it took you 3 times to rewrite the Bible just to go back to say what the original King James Bible said, that you said wasn't a good version, and then the one even before that came from the Geneva Bible, that either. So why are you confusing people? And then on top of that, why would you not put Pleiades and Orion? Well, because if you put Pleiades, Orion, constellation, Zodiac, Ursa Major, Arcturus, everybody gonna be like, oh wait, that's the Zodiac in the sky, which the Watchtower, Jehovah's Witnesses said, don't do that. Nope, that's the devil. Can't do no Zodiac. Can't do no signs. Don't be saying what your sign is, because that's the devil. Can't be doing that, because I think that's some divination and on, right? But it's right here in the Bible. And God made constellations, and God made zodiacs, and God made all that stuff. And so if we read Pleiades, Orion, Arcturus, Ursa Major in the Bible, we would be looking up at the sky like, oh, that's up in the sky. And then we would be researching that, trying to find out what that means. And then we would realize that our ass come from the stars. And that Pleiades and Orion has a lot to do with it. And then specifically, us melanated beings, Orion, and then we'll connect that to Sirius and Sirius B, and then previous, Vega, and then, we'll be thinking about Nibiru, and we'll be thinking about the other star systems, which was Ilion and Risk, and, what is it? I can't think because I'm flustered. And I got this information like probably about a week and a half ago, and every time I read it, it makes me flustered. So why would you change that in the Bible to have people not understanding about the Pleiades and Orion? And you would start thinking and wondering, what does that have to do with anything? And then you can fast forward that all the way up to now and about the space wars and who has to do with what. They don't want you to know none of that. And Jehovah's Witnesses tell all their people, don't read nothing that's outside of our publications, the Watchtower and Bible and Tract Society, Publishing Company magazines, and Bible, the New World's Translation, which is so much like the New World Order. Anyway, and don't read nothing off of, that's not on our Bible website, JW.org. Don't read nothing off of that. How does that sound? That means they can tell you whatever they want to do, whatever they want to tell you, and change whatever they want to change. And then the changes that were in the Bibles, like the old stuff, they're like, don't even read them old books and them old Bibles and stuff. Nope. Don't even read that stuff. Only the new stuff. I'm so mad right now. And I'm so mad because how am I like 52 years old? About to be 53. And I've been reading the Bible all my life. And I've been out looking at the stars all the time up till like yesterday. And loving Orion and knowing about Pleiades and the Seven Sisters and my tarot cards talk about the Seven Sisters and all that kind of stuff. And I got Orion on my face. Boom, boom, boom. I got on these big gauges. Got Orion on my face. And found out that I'm from Orion. And didn't know it was in the Bible till, not day before yesterday, but till, a couple weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, from watching a B-side sci-fi movie that just popped up after I was like, I got to get more and more information on the Anunnaki because I know those my people, no. And that's how I found out from a movie, a B movie, a sci-fi movie. Is that a bug? I'm sorry, I hate gnats. Quit playing. Anyway. Okay, sorry. I got some oranges out. So, what? End time knowledge. Think bigger. This is why I made that page. This page. Because you got to think bigger. And you just can't let anybody tell you nothing. You got to question everything and read all the books. And don't just believe shit that people tell you. If that ain't some... I'm just going to end it at that. Because I'm mad. But how wild is that, right? Okay, y'all. I'm out. Peace, family.